we have the company of a Hall of Fame member now in Davis Love III. 15 years on, my man. 15 years that you guys have been doing this. If you think back to 15 years ago to where we are today, would you have envisioned where we are?
Not a chance. 17 years ago, when we started talking about this with Tim Fincham, the commissioner, and the PGA Tour, and Zach's friends, who were then McGladrey and now they're RSM, we never envisioned it getting this big and giving this much money to charity, and actually making it 15 years. You know, not a whole lot of tour sponsors last 15 years. So incredible partnership and incredible run we've been on.
There's no doubt about that. Now, when you talk about the incredible run, you can see on your television screens the list of accomplishments of Davis Love III, and it's stout. The fact that you have won 21 times on the PGA Tour, the fact that you are a major champion, the fact that you are the namesake of the foundation, host of this event, multiple-time Ryder Cup captain. You've represented the United States in player capacity and in leadership capacity more times than anybody can count. It's incredible. Do you ever look at this and kind of shake your head?
Well, when I get introduced and people read off that list, it is a little bit overwhelming sometimes. I think my dad would be most proud of the awards, you know, the Payne Stewart Award or the Bob Jones Award or things like that. I never dreamed about being in the Hall of Fame, but that's as I get older, it becomes more important, you know, that a little bit of legacy, and maybe not all about how you played, but things you did, like you said, and have been on the board of the tour a lot and been captain and assistant captain a lot. So I'm proud of the on the course stuff, but like our tournament, I'm more proud of the things we do off the golf course.
And I want to get into all of that with Davis today, but because of the length of your career, because of when you started to play, because you mentioned your dad, that's what triggered this thought in my mind. You came in with some of the other all-time greats. Think about that, right? I mean, when you came in, you still had the likes of Arnold Palmer teeing it up. What do you think about when you look back and go, yeah, I was able to play during this bridge of some of the greats of all time, and then the Tiger Woods era and more?
Yeah, well, I came on tour in 1986 and Jack Nicklaus won the Masters, and I've got to play with him at the Players Championship, or got to play practice rounds with Jack Nicklaus. Played a little bit with Arnold, not competitively, but you know, a practice round at the Masters, things like that. So yeah, I was in the, you know, the golden era all the way to the Tiger Woods era. So I've seen a lot, played with a lot of those guys, and really blessed to have played in a great time on the PGA Tour. Obviously, every generation, the money gets better and the tournaments get better, but it was pretty good coming out with Arnold and Jack still being around the tour.
Is it fair when you hear the question of someone saying, well, who would you say would be the greatest of all time, or is greatness kind of confined to the top of your form when you were playing?
Well, I think there's really only one discussion. It's Jack and Tiger, and how do you compare those two? You know, they didn't play in the same era, so it's hard to say. But it's hard to sit down and look at either one of their records and not say that they were the best player ever. But obviously, Tiger, the people he played against and the run he had, how long it was of not missing a putt and not missing a fairway and not hardly ever being out of contention in a major. It was just incredible what he did. So both of those guys are friends and mentors of mine, so I'm not going to vote, but it's hard to argue with those two. And then obviously I got to know Byron Nelson because Fred Couples and I got to hang out with him some in Dallas, you know, and then you go back all the way back to that. Well, if Byron would have played against Tiger, how would he have done? You know, he did pretty good for a few years as well.
It's amazing. I just got a chill up my spine when you said I got close to Byron Nelson. Think about this for a second. It is absolutely mind-blowing.
Freddie actually took me to his house, and we had lunch and hung out and got to see the wood shop and all that. So I was very blessed to hang around guys like Tom Kite and Ben Crenshaw and then Fred Couples when I came out on tour. So not only did my dad introduce me to a lot of those players, those guys mentored me when I got out on tour as well.
Just as an aside, Byron Nelson was born in 1912. That's what I'm talking about in terms of the bridge that goes into it. You mentioned your dad a couple of times and the people that your dad introduced you to, but I am curious about some of the more foundational elements of what he taught you in terms of how you conduct yourself in the game of golf, how you deal with the ups and downs that is the game of golf. What do you reflect on when you think about your dad?
Well, I think he honored the traditions of the game because he came up under Harvey Penick. So he wanted to keep Mr. Penick happy, and make him proud of his student Davis Love and his player. My dad played at University of Texas for Harvey, and then he was an unbelievably patient man, and I think his patience and his confidence are the things that he instilled in me. And he was very calm and very measured in the things that he did. So I try to do that. I'm obviously not as not as smart and not as good a teacher as him, but I learned a lot from my teacher. And I was lucky to have my best friend and my teacher and my coach and my playing buddy was all wrapped up in my dad.
Oh, it's very, very cool indeed. You're actually playing this week, we should mention, right? That's the plan.
That's
Normally when I see you, there's splints, you're limping in. How you feel?
I feel okay. I had a thumb surgery back in April that I'm trying to bounce back from. It seems like I'm always trying to bounce back. I'd like a year. Justin Parsons is now coaching me some, and he's like, if you'd give me a year of being healthy, I think you could get back to playing well. So hopefully that's in 25. But I didn't play much this year. This will only be my 4th tournament of the year, which is disappointing. But I don't want to miss. It's our 15th year. I don't want to miss playing. I'm going to draw a pretty good pairing this week, so I'm excited to get out and play. I don't know if I'll be competitive, but I want to try to play at least 4 rounds.
Well, I think it's important for the game of golf, just for all the names that you mentioned that you cross paths with in your career, for us to get to see Hall of Famers still teeing up and still playing. You mentioned the foundation, and I know that that's something that's near and dear to you and to Robin and to Mark, that you're able to use the career that you have built and use your name and then put some really hard work behind it. You're touching lives.
Yeah, it's incredible what this tournament has done. And that's our message to the PGA Tour when we, as a tournament organization and RSM, taught them is don't lose sight of the foundation of the PGA Tour, which is charity. And my mom and dad helped run a PGA Tour event, the Atlanta Classic, and then the first Players Championship. So I grew up in the merchandise tent or in the pro shop or outside the ropes of a PGA Tour event. And to now have my 10-year-old granddaughter thinking that she's running the merchandise tent here at the RSM Classic, our whole family literally is in that office over there, for the last few months. My niece is helping my daughter Lexi with the merchandise tent and everything she does. My brother, obviously, on the foundation side, and Robin, working her chalet and all the things that she does. So it is truly a family affair. Anna, all of our friends always joke that I don't need to get any tickets for the tournament this week because all my friends are either working or are volunteering in the tournament. So it's incredible. They have a catchy phrase, impact beyond measure, and it's really hard to measure what this tournament's done for this community.
Amazing. Earlier in the show, I had a chance to ask Davis. I love asking young players this, that you are your own CEO, you are your own corporation, you are your own brand. Because I want to know what these young people want their brand to represent. I don't believe in all the times that we've spoken, we're friends over the years, I don't think I've ever asked you the question of, what does the brand of Davis Love III represent?
Well, I think like you said earlier, it represents a tie to the history of the game. My dad felt that was important, whether it was in golf design or teaching or being a club pro. My dad was, the ultimate club pro, just helping people enjoy playing the game and growing the game. He did seminars for teachers. He did lessons for members or friends or tour players to try to grow the game. And that was what he was all about. So that's all we're trying to do now is give back to the game that gave us so much. And, Rob and I started a foundation thinking, it'll be a nice way to give away a little bit of money and have a little Monday Pro-Am. Well, it's turned into a PGA Tour event because Jack and Arnie didn't just play the tour. They were the tour, and they created tournaments and built hospitals. They took the platform and ran with it. So we're just, Tiger and I are, the younger guys that have their own tournaments now. And we're just trying to do the same thing, continue what Jack and Arnie set up for us.
Incredible. You talk about all of these things from your dad and these legends that you've learned, the dignity of the game and where it can help and how it helps society. I am curious because you mentioned golf course design, Davis. Can it manifest itself in terms of how you design a golf course? Is there a dignity there? Is there an element of forgiveness? Is there an element of recovery? How does your philosophy about what golf is, again, manifest itself in terms of how you design a golf course?
Well, I always go back to the traditional things that I liked growing up in the game, and that my dad liked. You know, the golden age architects. You know, the Rosses and the Rayners and McDonald's, and Tillinghast. All those we love, and we don't copy. We were inspired by. But you know, I think our golf design is certainly based on everybody having fun. You know, Pete Dye would say, "Hey, I can make a golf course really, really hard. That's easy." But I think making the 4,000 yard course and the 8,000 yard course work for everybody is what we're looking for. Is we go in for a membership or to a club or to a resort, and we want everybody that plays there to be happy and enjoy it, be challenged, but also have a great experience and want to come back. So we may lean towards the old school and the easier golf course side of it, but the memberships that we deal with seem pretty happy with that.
Now, given your veteran campaigner status, let's get the get off my grass side of it to discuss for a second. Is there anything about the game today that you felt like in my day it was better because?
Oh, it was better because we had metal spikes and wooden heads. It was much better back then. You know, Scott Verplank, if he was sitting here, would say, "Well, Davis is the one that got messed up in his driving because metalwoods came along, like with a wooden driver."
How long did you fight that? How long did you try to say, no, I'm staying with the persimmon?
I stayed for a long time. I can remember Larry Bobka from Titleist bringing me the D driver, which was a fabulous driver. And I told him I never wanted to see a metalwood again. Take them away. I'm driving it really good with my wooden driver. And then when I did put it in play at the US Open in 1997, it was a game changer for me. But I think, you know, I played with the old stuff and the new stuff, and obviously the new stuff is a lot more fun. If I could do anything with the game, I would take the jump face out of the driver and not mess with the golf ball. But everybody has their opinion on. I don't think it's a problem. The game is fun. I like watching Scotty Scheffler and Xander Schauffele and Ludwig Aberg play golf. I don't think there's a problem with the pro game, but if you want to rein something in, I would start with a driver and not the golf ball.
And because you're a golf course designer in the context of talking about distance with the golf ball, how comfortable are you that this rule is going to impact not only the elite golfer, but also the everyday guy?
Well, I think there's the testing that I've heard about. I haven't done the testing I've heard about. It's not huge. I think the average player is not going to be affected that much by it, but it's a lot of golf balls. I mean, Titleist will have 10 to 12 versions of the Pro V1 in play at the RSM Classic this week. It's a lot of mechanics to get there, but I would do it with a driver. But the amateurs I play with in pro-ams, they're not beating up the golf course. It's an elite group of players that are doing that. Sure, as a designer, if I built a new course, I'd want it to be 4,000 to 8,000 yards. But on a classic course, you can't get 8,000 yards or even 7,500 on a lot of them. So it is a little bit of a problem. I'm not smart enough to figure out a solution, but I'm enjoying watching PGA Tour golf the way it is right now. I don't want it to go backwards.
Well, every year over the last few, I've asked you this same question. Is the game of golf right now, in November of 2024, on the edge of Thanksgiving, are we in a better place than we were 1 year ago?
I think we are, for sure. A year ago, maybe not 3 years ago, from a guys on tour. Obviously, we've lost some guys, but I think Jay Monahan did an incredible job during COVID to get us through. And this last year and a half, Jay Monahan's done an incredible job. The middle part in there was tough for anybody to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
There was things happening that you could have never predicted happening. So I think we're in a good place right now. Obviously, it was an exciting year, exciting playoffs this year. The fall events have been great so far. I think we're in a really good place, and things can change over the next few years as well. We're not done.
Haven't we seen that? Yeah.
Well, I remember when Tim Fincham came and said, "Hey, I'm thinking these FedEx point idea." You know? And how many times has the FedEx point system changed since it was invented? How many times have the playoffs changed since they were brought up? things can continue to get better and improve. Our new ownership, which is mostly players, our new ownership can drive changes going forward that make us, one, more profitable, and two, more money for charity.
So are you happy with the governance now where the players have a greater voice?
I'm extremely happy. There was a committee of the board that we spent a lot of time for about 6 months helping set up the future of the PGA Tour, and I was happy to be a part of that. I'm very happy now that I'm not on the board or any committees or any captaincies, and I can go focus on being an old golfer and building golf courses. But I think we're in a really, really good place right now. I'm doing a little bit of work down at TPC Sawgrass, so I'm in headquarters. I'm still in touch with Jay and his staff. So I think we're in a really good place right now.
Last time you and I bumped into each other, of course, was in Rome for the Ryder Cup. Now we have Keegan Bradley getting ready to assume in earnest the role over the coming year as our Ryder Cup captain, position that he was put in some weeks back. Are you pleased with that? Were you surprised?
I was surprised. Yes, very surprised, and I think Keegan was surprised as well when they came to him. I've seen Keegan a couple times out at the BMW most recently, and he's passionate and he's a great leader. He always has been a quiet leader. He was a great player for me in 2012 at Dyna, and I think in that area he's already created a buzz about him being the captain in the Northeast, and all the way from Travelers all the way up to New York. He's a star up there, and I think it's a great choice. Obviously, I'm around some of his assistant captains more than him, so I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, Bethpage is going to be the ultimate home game, so it's going to be out of control.
Is it fair to ask you if you have any kind of words of wisdom for a new Ryder Cup captain, or specifically for Keegan?
Well, Paul Azinger probably gave me the best advice when I first got into it. He said, control what you can control and don't worry about the rest. There's so much going on that if Keegan just focuses on his team, his assistant captains, getting them ready to play, the rest of it, the PGA of America runs an incredible operation at the Ryder Cup. You just can't worry about the details. And Keegan's on a fast learning curve, but he's got a bunch of guys that have done it that he can lean on. I don't need to be there to be able to help Keegan. He's got a long year ahead of him, and we're going to help him get through it because we've all been through it a bunch.
True. Davis is one of the busiest guys I've ever seen in my life. So I want to wrap it up just to find out, are you still going crazy? You're doing the wakeboarding and the barbecuing, and his truck looks like it could be an invasion vehicle. It's unbelievable. How's life?
Well, I tell my doctors, you need me to play golf.
Doctors, plural. Yeah.
You need me to play golf because that's the easiest thing I do during the day. But my body's been beat up. As I said, I had some surgery in April. It's been a long year. I haven't been fishing, haven't been in a bulldozer very much. I haven't done the things that wear out my hands. I've been trying to save them to get better for golf. But if it doesn't get better real quick, I'm back to all the fun stuff. It's snowing out west. I'm ready to go snowboarding.
See how the grandkids doing? Family's
they're great.
Okay?
Yeah, they're great. It's a lot of fun having 5 to 10-year-old girls hanging around. I'm learning a lot. I'm teaching them the fun stuff. They're driving the vehicles at the farm, and they're learning to shoot bows, and they love to fish, thankfully. So and play golf. All of them come out here to the Performance Center and work with Chrissy, their favorite teacher, and hit golf balls. So life is great. I don't complain about being home and not being out playing tournaments, but I would like to get back and be competitive on the Champions Tour for at least one season before I have to hang it up.
It's awesome. Great to see you,
Thank you,
my friend.
Matt.
Congratulations with everything
Thanks
that
a lot.
you have done.